Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session Study Burnout, How to Spot It and Take Action. Today with us, we have Alyosha Bagwala, who is best-selling author, creative director, and lecturer at Bagwala Webinars. Hello, Alyosha.
Hi, Theodora. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I hope it's going to be an interesting and pleasurable session. So, yeah, I'm ready to begin.
Yeah, us too. And we think that this topic is really important for all of the students and that it's going to help them probably handle their studies in a much better way. Okay, so to start off with the first question, can you tell us what burnout is actually and how it occurs?
Burnout is, I would say, a very unpleasant event in a person's life. I've been there, I've done that, and it was a terrible yet enlightening experience because it kind of forces you to transform, to get rid of your invisible scripts that you have been working on too long, and that you get rid of your patterns, that are subconscious. And so it's a lot of work, but it's something that is very transformative, as I already said. But basically, burnout happens as a collapse, as a mental collapse, as a physical collapse after a long period of stress, which has become chronic in between. So as we all live in very exciting times where we are constantly bombarded with technology, with notifications, with tasks, with demands of being perfect, of performing on highest level and stuff like that. Of course, these things tend to happen. And burnout is something that occurs, as so it seems suddenly. But when you look at it, you see that it has been piling up for a long time. And the thing that modern educational systems kind of enforce, or they want to bring up front, is, of course, competitiveness, excellence, highest academic performance. And this is a lot of pressure, of course, for you students as well. I mean, burnout has happened to me in my advertising career, where I was, one of the best creative directors in the region, always with a lot of work, a lot of responsibility. And of course, ingrained in me, there was the need to excel, to be the best, to win all the awards. And I think that also a lot of students feel the same pressure early on. Not only in the faculties, but also way before in high school, or even before. So I think that we need to acknowledge that maybe there is too much pressure today that we put on our shoulders, and that has been pushed upon us from parents, or expectations that come with the upbringing, or expectations from our teachers and professors and stuff like that. So I think that everyone should, check in with himself. How do I feel? How do I handle all this stuff? Should this be happening to me at this very early stage in my life? So I think these are relevant questions, but I think that, burnout in between, especially after the coronavirus, has become an epidemic, and we are facing this terrible condition, for a while now. And unfortunately, the age at which it starts is getting lower and lower.
Yes, I would definitely agree with you. I think that everybody today has expectations, especially from themselves, but also with social media. When you see, oh, look at my friends, they're enjoying, they're having so much fun. I want to have that life. Or even your parents, they set sometimes unrealistic expectations, and then you have to live up to them. And it's hard to say no to your parents. Okay, so can you maybe tell us, because I think that it's the hardest thing to do actually, how do we spot the burnout that it's occurring, that it's happening?
In my case, it was sort of present as constant nagging. I wasn't feeling well. I was very demanding to myself, also towards my team. I have set high standards of achievement, and this all, of course, felt natural to me because I'm very ambitious. I'm very competitive by nature. This is, of course, also a consequence of my strict upbringing. And the thing is that, for a long while, you are saying to yourself, this is how it is, life's hard, you have to grind, you have to tackle it, you have to hustle. And in between, the life gets sort of rid of all its meaning. The things that you used to enjoy don't give you any pleasure anymore. You're always exhausted. You're always under a lot of pressure from expectations that mount because of your ambition and the way your mind works. Because where you are a very ambitious and competitive and responsible and also creative individual, your mind is constantly scanning for opportunities. Where can I perform? Where can I excel? How can I present my value? How can I be a super human? And of course, when you have enough energy, this is great. You enjoy it. You enjoy proving yourself. You enjoy creating. You enjoy excelling. But then at a certain point, when you don't realize that, this is a demand from your, as I said before, invisible scripts. So this is, something that we are born with and that we kind of internalize by upbringing, how our parents see the world, what they expect from themselves, how our broader family or kinship things works, what is our view of the world, not only in terms of how we perceive what life should be, but what are our attitudes, like simple attitudes, attitudes towards work. Like, do our parents constantly work, or are they constantly nagging that everybody should work? Is this like the only a measure to measure your worth, your success? Then what are our financial attitudes? What is our attitude towards money? Do we allow ourselves enough self-worth, to become healthily wealthy, or that we don't see financial constraints as something that is constantly endangering us? Because then we tend to live in survival mode. And when we see our parents constantly being in survival mode, like scanning the ecosystem, okay, I need to work, I need to grind, because if I don't grind, I won't get any money, I won't be able to afford your education. So, if you see your parents grinding, so you are able to afford your education, then this is already a lot of stress for you to begin with, in these circumstances. Then, of course, there are attitudes towards others, where you sort of depend on what others think about you. You depend on your external validations, which means, I'm only as good as other people tell me. or if I don't do this, other people won't appreciate me. If I won't excel or succeed, I won't belong. So when you end up with feelings of not belonging, then of course your survival mode activates, because we need to belong, we need to be accepted, because this is one of our basic psychological needs that we have as humans. And so when you take a look at all these attitudes that we are equipped with, and that we are using as invisible scripts that are telling us how to see the world, what to do every day, how to feel worthy, or all the ways that we need to perform to have any self-worth. This kind of adds up to this pressure that is sort of constant. So as I said before, you need to check in with yourself, and this is a very basic step in order to achieve your mental well-being, or basics of mental health and basic hygiene. So if you feel like you're on a constant roller coaster that you cannot get off, this is one sign that says, okay, maybe there's something going on, and I need to figure out what is going on. Then if you are constantly exhausted, that's of course another sign. So I don't think that, like this basic fatigue that comes with, the pressures of studying and exam time, where of course you should put in a lot of energy, to get your exams done and stuff like that, is a problem. I don't think that's a problem, because every now and then we need to invest a lot of energy into achieving our goals. But if you're like constantly exhausted, if you're not motivated, if you're avoiding your friends, or avoiding going to the parties, or you are giving up on your social life, then I think that's a red flag that that we should be alarmed that something is going on. Then, of course, there's motivation, where you don't feel motivated to do anything. You're sort of procrastinating. You're keeping yourselves busy with other things to avoid, I don't know, study work or stuff like that, because some people tend to find some chores or some tasks they need to perform as an excuse, so they don't need to study. They say, okay, I will cook lunch for my parents every day, and then they skip or avoid efforts to finish exams and stuff like that. So when we sort of rationalize, or we kind of deceive ourselves in this manner, that's also a sign that maybe we should put some effort into our well-being and stuff like that. But as I said before, there is this draining of meaning, where everything actually that you do is just another task, is just another chore, is just another unpleasantry that you have to deal with. So if there is nothing in your life that makes you happy or invigorates you, there's a serious sign that you're probably depressed, and that the next stage could be a serious case of burnout. So it's really hard to be transparent about it. As you already mentioned, Teodora, social media is, our fiercest enemy when it comes to comparing ourselves with others, but it can also be very deceitful for ourselves, because our brain can trick us into conviction about ourselves that we are okay, because we post photos and we automatically smile, and we automatically fake our happiness and goodwill. And then, we browse our timelines, and we see, I'm smiling here, I'm smiling there, therefore I must be happy. But unfortunately, this is not the case. And I would even say that, you know, if you take extra lengths to perform also on social media, where you feel the need to be super popular or super successful or super engaged, this could also be one sign that you need a lot of external validation, and that you don't feel good enough to yourself, you know. So this is like a major warning sign, also to maybe get some professional help as well. I am an ambassador of my country's first mental health program, which also encourages young people, students, to kind of, you know, climb over the stigma of getting professional help in terms of mental health, you know. So there's no shame in that. I think that, you know, we should all be open to the importance of our mental health, which is actually a currency of the future, you know, because if we aren't mentally well, there is probably no other recipe for society to work, to perform, to be worthy of, you know, the term that it's bearing, you know, society, belonging, creating, co-working, or cooperating. So yeah, these are, you know, some insights that I can offer from my own case.
Thank you so much, Aleš. I think that social media created that culture of dismissal. I don't know, like, you're not allowed to feel bad, or like not to like some parts of maybe your life, maybe you're not allowed to like your degree, or not like your degree. I know, because I switched degrees, I know that when I was studying at my first degree, I was so unhappy, and I was not allowed to show it, because people, whenever I said what I'm studying, they were like, wow, that is so cool. You're going to have an amazing job. You're going to earn a lot of money. But internally, like, I was not happy. And whenever I said, oh yeah, you know, I'm really not into it, they would be like, you're crazy. You're going to be an engineer. And I'm like, but maybe I don't want to be an engineer. And I kind of always felt that my environment did not support my, let's say, my decision to potentially give up. And at some point, like you said, I was trying to fight all of those signs you mentioned, and be like, okay, yeah, push through it. You can do it. You can finish it. But at some point, it just became too much for me. And I decided to just, you know, I'm done. I'm going to switch, and whatever happens, happens. Right now, I'm super happy with my degree. But also I did a paper on social media and the culture that it creates. And the results were devastating to me, how social media actually makes young people feel about themselves. And you know, how the rate of self-harm and other things, just it keeps growing from year to year. So yeah, I think that if anybody feels not good, always try to reach for help, because that's not a taboo as it was before. So let's try to create more a culture of feel free to ask for help, rather than please don't share. If your feelings are not happy feelings, don't share them.
Yeah.
Okay. So our next question would be, what actions do you recommend that students can take to overcome burnout, or even prevent it?
I think that what you have mentioned, you know, this status signaling on social media is a typical burden of today's youth, because you know, we are creatures that constantly compare ourselves to others. This is our very basic biological function, we also are trained to copy the behavior of other people, because when we used to live in tribes, these would lead to healthy habits that young children learned by copying the elders, and thus they provided for the safety of the whole tribe. Today we live in a digital tribe, and we of course use these survival instincts for other things. So we are comparing ourselves not to parents or elders in our tribe, but we are comparing ourselves to the influencers, to the super important people, to the chiefs of this global digital tribe. So what we end up doing is that we are throwing away our uniqueness, our very special gifts that we come to this world, to share them. As Picasso said, that the purpose of our life is to find your gift, and the meaning of life is to give it away, to share it with other people. And I think this is a beautiful thought, and it should lead, every single one of us, because, it leads to sincerity towards yourself. If you're not being sincere with yourself, this is, the first step on the road towards, not feeling okay in your life. One first step on the road to burnout. So meeting expectations of parents is sometimes very hard. You see them, invest a lot of time in your upbringing. You depend on them. They are, the most important people in your early life. And so it's hard to, not to listen to them. But, nowadays, many parents sort of compensate their lack of, satisfaction in life by forcing ambitions on their children. So many parents would demand what profession should their children choose, or which schools should they go to study, and stuff like that. So these discouragements to be sincere, to be who you are, to really figure out why you are here, start very, very early on, and then we engage in life with our false self, with our false persona, that is, just a consequence of upbringing recipes, of expectations of the educational system, and is infested with ambitions of other people. So, there within you is like shining, the brightest part of yourself, your true self, your creative self, the thing that, is your most honest, your perfect script, how to live this life that you have been avoiding for too long, So I think that everybody should come clear with this question. Is this really me? Is this what I should become? Is this what I loved doing as a kid? And I think that what you did is very brave. You figured out, okay, engineering is something that is not my true self. That is not my vocation. That is not what I was born to do. And you chose to pivot. You chose to, switch course, to make some really hard adjustments, I would say, And with that comes a lot of, self-questioning and self-doubt. Oh my God, am I throwing away a couple of years? I'm throwing away my money. I'm disappointing my parents, perhaps, or I'm disappointing, I don't know, people around me. And then, when those questions pop up, wow, are you sure? I mean, you're going to be so successful. You're going to have a lot of money. You start to wonder, am I crazy? Why am I doing this? But if, your intuition, if your gut feeling, is telling you to do so, and this is your earnest voice that you should always follow, because this is your sat nav, your navigation towards happiness and fulfillment. You should always stick to it, and you should follow its rules. So being, true to yourself, being honest, questioning yourself, and doing this hard inner work is really important, because, today we sort of rush into experiences. We are dependent, on stimuli that comes from notifications and this simulation of happiness, and we confuse that, with real happiness. But real happiness is always still. It's always very peaceful, and it gives you inner stability. So many people confuse excitement of the modern life with joy and happiness. So you should always reserve some time in your day, or at least once a week, to check in with yourself, to get rid of the stimuli. Go do some digital detox for a couple of hours, put things away, and try to calm yourself down and be really present, And if you train calming yourself down, you reinforce your abilities, that you are able to listen to your intuition, that you are able to be in touch with your true creative self. And this inner work, where you soon recognize that, everything is already preloaded in you, and it's just waiting, for you to activate it the right way, is the perfect recipe to avoid chaos in your life. There will be stress always. You will be afraid. You cannot avoid fear, but fear, is just sort of a tool with which our nature is trying to keep us alive. So it's not going to go away ever. There's going to be disappointments. There is going to be a lot of hard relationships in your life. But, there's always this safe haven that you can always return to. And this is yourself, your inner self. So never expect other people to save you, because we engage into relationships or intimate romantic relationships where we accept the fact that, we are dependent upon the other person. We expect them to save us, and this is never going to happen, and we are always going to stumble on disappointment and despair. So the sooner we realize that, we are our own makers of our life and our happiness, the better. I don't know if I even answered what the question was, but I thought it felt okay.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you for the self-questioning part. Seeing my friends like getting their master degrees, and like you said, throwing away a couple of years and money and stuff. It was definitely hard, and sometimes I would stop and be like, why didn't I just finish it? But internally, like I said, I was not happy, and I knew that doing that job that I was supposed to do for the rest of my life would not make me happy. And also, like, even I noticed when I was studying for my exams that my attention span would be like, okay, I'm studying for 15 minutes. And then after that, I'm 45 minutes on my phone, checking my social media, chatting with my friends. So I actually was getting, like, with time, even less and less study time than I would be getting. And then at some point, not seeing results, even though I knew I put some time. I knew that it was not enough, but I pretended it was. It just made me feel bad. And I was like, oh, why can't I just pass this exam? I would love to pass it. And then I was pushing myself, and I just ended up feeling even worse. So I think that that's when I noticed that the burnout is kind of creeping in, and it just started like getting worse and worse with each year of me studying that degree and just not feeling like myself.
Yeah, there was no passion.
Yeah, it was not. I thought, like, I even went on a student exchange, and I thought, oh yeah, maybe that's going to change my mind. Maybe my passion is going to come back. Maybe I'm just going to find myself. But when I came back, I was just, I loved my student exchange experience, but I was just more disappointed in my degree choice. Because I knew that like in the long run, it would not be something that I would enjoy doing. And well, I read one nice quote on LinkedIn. I don't remember by whom, but it said you can't get better in the environment that made you sick. And maybe calling my degree an environment that made me sick is not the best thing, but actually, but it actually was something that made me feel bad about myself, and I did not want to feel that way. So I just chose to switch it up, like you said. And I do definitely empower people to just take a minute. It's okay to take breaks. I think that taking
okay
a
to make
break.
mistakes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we learn while we are alive, and that's totally normal. I just think that I was always in some fast mode. I was always rushing. Oh yeah, you need to finish degree in time. You need to start working, get a good job. You need to start building your career. You need to, find your apartment. You need to pay your bills. And I was kind of always in a race with myself. I don't know. And I did not allow myself to take a break and actually stop and think, does this make me happy? Will this make me happy in 15 years if I continue doing it? But once I did, and once I reevaluated my goals, I actually discovered that I would not be happy, not in 15 years, not in 15 days, or like it just won't make me happy. So yeah, definitely taking some time off. I know that you did that. You stopped. You said, okay, does this make me happy? So yeah.
But unfortunately, I stopped because of burnout. Burnout has stopped me. I wasn't able to, do so myself because I was so entangled in everything that I excelled at, and I was at a, from the outside world, I was amazing. I was constantly awarded. I was constantly praised. I was constantly adored, and so if you don't sort of figure out things by yourself, then life is going to throw at you some serious obstacles that you need to climb over or succumb to, that will kind of reprogram you to take better care of yourself, and I think that's also one great lesson. And the thing is that this burnout debate that has been happening shouldn't discourage you from trying hard, because I think that the age you are in now is so beautiful, it's so amazing, and I think you should be overwhelmed by experiences, by the choices that you can make as young adults, as people, being able to realize what the world is, realize what the life is. You can explore, and you should explore as many things as you could, because I never said no if that was something that has contributed to my experiences or that has enriched my world. And just, you shouldn't be saying no to things in fear of that you are going to collapse, that you are going to not be able to make it, and stuff like that. Of course, there should be, a really transparent balance sheet between, okay, this is my focus, these are my goals, and what amount of energy I need to invest in this for this to become possible, for me to realize all this. And of course, on the other side, there's the sheer joy of life and exploring it, And if you balance these two things, I think that you're on a great path to a fulfilling life where you shouldn't constantly worry, or where you shouldn't lock yourself out of all the possibilities that that life brings about. And by that I mean you shouldn't also focus on your path to be perfect, on your path not to have any missteps or mistakes and stuff like that. Because, you know, when we say so, then people feel the burden. Okay, well, I know the recipe now. I have to balance these things, and this has to, you know, be amazing. I shouldn't fail, because one of the heavy misconceptions of today's world is that mistakes are bad. And your generation has unfortunately had this unpleasant experience where the social media has enabled that your mistakes were being punished in a way that have really hurt you or made a dent in your, I don't know, psychological stability, you know, because our generation, where we have the experience of not being surrounded by so imposing and so invasive technologies, we have also the beneficial experience of just not giving a F, you know, about some things. And so you could explore, so you could do mistakes, so you could miscalculate yourself, and, you know, this wouldn't cause any particular problems. And, you know, there were no technologies where someone would just go online and, you know, say, okay, he made this mistake, he made that, he's such a guy or such a girl, stuff like that, you know. And this possible ridicule that comes from making mistakes is a great inhibitor for today's young generation not to explore life also by doing, or mainly by doing mistakes. And if you look at mistakes as, you know, a fair attempt towards success that didn't work out, this should, of course, then put a lot of less pressure on your shoulders, you know. Because if you say, okay, mistake is just my fair attempt at success, which didn't work out, is way more encouraging than if you say, because of mistakes, I could probably lose my job, my friends, and be a target of ridicule in public, you know. So allow yourself to do mistakes, to explore, to experience, and figure out what life actually is, you know. And this is, as I said before, a beautiful, wonderful age to do so.
Thank you, Alyosha. I wanted to mention, to give an example of my best friend. She was a straight A student. She was used to excelling at everything, like you said, and it created in her like a lot of pressure, also pressure from her parents. And at some point, I remember talking with her, and she was like, yeah, you know, I think I'm going crazy. I cannot do it anymore. I'm trying to study, but I don't have focus. I don't have motivation. Whenever I think that I have an exam to prepare, I just want to go to sleep. And, you know, I have to get a straight A. Like I have to have all the straight A's. And I actually asked her, like, but why is that? And she's like, you know, I had it until now. So why would I stop? Like, why would, if I think that she thought that if she didn't get an A, that means that she failed.
Yeah.
But we are not made to excel at everything. I mean, you know, like when you were studying, and I know from my study experience that just some subjects I can do better in some subjects and then in some worse. I remember that when I was in primary school, I had straight A's, but I had a B from sports because, you know, I was just not a sport person. So yeah, I felt bad. But then when my mom came home, I was crying so much, and she brought me a gift, and she told me, this is for your first grade. It is not an A. Yeah. I want to give you a gift, and it's okay for you not to have straight A's. So yeah, I just want to emphasize that it is okay. Like you said, if we don't excel and if we are not amazing, then we are we become an easy target for people to say, maybe she's not as smart or he's not as smart. He's not the brightest. So those comments hurt. And I think that people don't realize when they comment, like when they are commenting, how some of those words may affect other people, especially if they are experiencing burnout. So I try to advise my friends the best way that I could. And I'm proud to say that she finished her master's degree. It was not a straight A, but she did amazing. She got a lot of compliments, and I am beyond proud of her. So
great.
yeah,
That's a great story. I think it's very, very nice that you shared this, because this culture of excellence and culture of burnout, on the other hand, they are walking hand in hand. And so, people willing to speak up, people willing to show, that they are not perfect, or that they cannot do everything perfectly, are an important voice, for us to navigate our lives more gently, more down to earth, and more with respect to our health, which is, as I said, begins with our mental health. And mental health, when we say to people, kind of starts by, or the vague idea of mental health is when they say, as your friend said, okay, I'm going crazy. So this is how we perceive mental health, is okay, people who are not crazy are mentally okay, which is not true, because it has a lot of layers, a lot of levels, a lot of requirements. And a very basic definition of mental health that I propose is that you're meant to do well you have enough energy to cope with the stress of everyday life, because life will always have challenges. It will always have a rough patch, or as they say, valleys and mountains. So we need to be able to cope with these periods that come into our lives, or that are part of our everyday schedules and stuff like that, And so if we are programmed to be the very best at every single thing that we have to do in order to live a normal life, this is a recipe for disaster, And this is how we are trained, and this is how unreflected people, or people that are unable to take a step back and reflect upon their lives, then share these or invest these very strict demands into other people's lives, where we have, I don't know, CEOs of companies that are on the verge of being sociopaths or psychopaths, if we just look at what Elon Musk is currently doing and stuff like that. And because they are not addressing the pain from their childhood, this just goes on unreserved, or this just kind of gains power and amplifies, so that it affects the lives of so many other people, when you're a CEO of a company that has, I don't know, 100,000 employees, you're immediately affecting not only 100,000 people, but also their families, So you could easily affect 500,000 people with your choices, with your unresolved issues, with your visions that, are maybe glamorized, or people say, wow, he's an amazing achiever, but are resting on a pile of trauma or pain or discouragements that happened in this person's early life. So we should always, if I had that chance, I would probably go to psychotherapy. I would take on therapy in my early 20s, where also my career began. So going to therapy for me was a life-changing experience because, you know, it made me realize how robotic was I in some ways of my life, and how on autopilot things were working not for me, but so many times against me. And when you get that insight into this, you know, ecosystem of whatever has shaped you, you can control them, you know, and, you know, just being conscious about why you do some things can help you take control back into your own hands, you know. And the thing that means to be an adult is actually boiled down to making your own choices. So, you know, you are young adults now, and you should kind of liberate yourself from the pressure of your parents, you know, and make your own choices. And so many people don't do that. They are unable to do so, you know. So if their parents force upon them a certain profession, what will happen is that they will prosper at a career, maybe in a job where they will have their, you know, bosses or CEOs and stuff like that. They will treat them as their parents, you know. And so they will need guidance in their professional life as well. And so many people do this switch unconsciously, where they switch their, you know, parental guidance for a guidance from their bosses in their careers. And I think it's really sad. And I think it's, you know, giving up your personal freedom of or giving up your possibility to make choices in your life. It makes for, you know, a sad or exhausted life, and life shouldn't be sad and exhausted. It should be, you know, fulfilling, and it should be, as I said, explored. And we should aim for that, for the explored life. And when I see, you know, like kids, like at the age of 10, 11, 12, being on antidepressants, you know, because, you know, somebody said you have ADHD or you're depressed or stuff like that. I mean, this isn't their fault. You know, this has to do with parenting. This has to do with society. This has to do with educational system. This has to do with despair that, you know, has sort of creeped into our lives, where we need to feel constant pressure, constant demands in order to say that our lives have meaning, you know, because so many people condition their success with being always on, with being always available, with being always the best or upfront or challenged or something like that, you know. But I wouldn't say that this is true, because, you know, success is only when you are able to enjoy it, you know. And this means that you are able to step away from it, you know, from a short while, to commit to yourself, to your family, to be loving towards them, to be loving towards yourself. And so this should be a formula of success. So, you know, if you're addicted to hashtag hustle and, you know, always on, you should reconsider that. But as I said, be an achiever, try to be the best. I think that's great. Do so for your own sake. But realize that you are the one that, you know, has to be making choices and has to be making decisions, because this is the only qualifier for being an adult. And yeah.
Yeah, I loved when you said you put yourself into autopilot mode. I think that all of us put our feelings and emotions on airplane mode and then go to autopilot mode and be like, you know, let's just power through it. But also you mentioned therapy. I went to therapy as well, and it helped me in so many levels. It helped me even with my education and my career and my relationships. And I don't know, I kind of feel that without therapy, I wouldn't be able to get in touch with myself. At least I had hard time trying to figure out where my head's at. So it definitely helped me. And there are a lot of free therapy resources or centers where young people can go. So definitely do research if you are not feeling the best version of yourself. Definitely do some research and try to book an appointment, because mine was life-changing, and based on your story, I think that it was yours as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is something that I wanted to point out. And
thanks for sharing. That's great.
Well, yeah. Thank you. So yeah, do you maybe have any like some, oh yeah, also I wanted to mention that you mentioned a formula for success and formula for dealing with burnout. I don't think that there is a like a universal formula. I think that everybody needs to adjust it to themselves. The only universal thing is that you need to be true to yourself and check out, like check yourself, like, hey, am I doing okay? Is this something that I'm enjoying? But everything else that comes after that is unique for like individual for each person. So the formula for my dealing with burnout, it probably is not the same as yours. And I think that is something that audience should know, that they should explore and find the best way for them to deal with burnout, and how to, let's say, resolve all the issues that they have.
I would also point out that, ever since burnout has become sort of a fashionable word to use, that a lot of people tend to confuse burnout with exhaustion or, not being able to sleep well for 3 days in a row and, just claiming I'm burnt out, and stuff like that. But I think that, with burnout, things are really severe. They are, in many cases, life-threatening. And that, this severe pain and fear and anxiety and panic that appears suddenly is something that, of course, needs to be addressed professionally. People should seek, professional help in terms of they should check in with their physicians, doctors, and then act accordingly. But then when you kind of accept what has happened, then of course you need to silence the world around you and commit to, getting better, to commit to your recovery. And I think that this part for me was really life-changing. I soon realized that, writing was an exceptional outlet, for all my feelings that have been suppressed, for everything that my true self, had to endure, because I was so occupied by fulfilling the demands of my false self, that always had to be the first, the best, the most awarded, the one excelling and stuff like that. And that, recovery doesn't mean that you are a coward, but it means, that you are willing to explore new ways how to live your life, because obviously the old recipe didn't work out. And, accepting things as they are is the first step to feeling better. But I wouldn't, I would say that don't be too quick to judge people dealing with burnout, because they will suddenly come across as weak, or suddenly unable, or suddenly those that have failed, and it's a really tough burden and pressure, And for me, maybe it was easier to speak up and speak out and try to democratize, this dialogue that, maybe this career brutalism that we have adopted isn't the best way to live or to achieve also economic growth and success. Being very successful, I was able to do so maybe unbothered by what other people would say, So there's still a lot of trauma, a lot of societal trauma, and some misconceptions about what burnout is and stuff like that. But if I would sum up, I would say try to live your best life, but let the true recipe come from within you. And when you are dealing with such an unpleasant experience in life, filled with anguish, joylessness, rage, and stuff like that, you will find your refuge in books, in literature, and switch off social media, or maybe try to find accounts that are committed to self-growth. I think that, we have been very demonizing towards modern technology, that it also enables us, to stay in touch with great people that encourage us, to inspiring accounts that, bring a beacon of light into our every day when we are in our dark period. We can reach out to professionals, as you have already mentioned. So this should be very encouraging. And not to promote myself too much, if someone would need, this is my first book. It's called Kako pregoreti I uzeti život u svoje ruke. It has been translated to Croatian. So maybe, if the languages are still close enough, Serbian and Croatian, you can find it on mozaik.hr. It has helped so many people facing burnout, also, encouraging them. Or what have I found out is that, it's hard to explain burnouts to people around you, to even to your closest ones, because they don't understand it. And so many people are thankful, that with the help of my book, they have been able to say to people, okay, look, this is how I feel. I cannot put it into these words, but this is exactly what I am going through. So, I need your support. I need your understanding. I need your help, And so just a couple of days ago, I got a very nice message, direct message from someone from Croatia. Vaša knjiga mi je spasila život, and I got a lot of these quotes that, are so heartwarming and so heartfelt. And, in my previous career, I would get hundreds of advertising and marketing awards. And now, when I'm writing and lecturing on topics of mental health, well-being, creativity, and stuff like that, the messages or the praise I receive is really, really warm and heartfelt and amazing. So, I'm really glad that you have invited me to be the sharer and bearer of this important topic in modern society, in our lives. And last but not least, as I said, I would really encourage you to go and try to live your dreams, learn how to say no, learn how to live with mistakes, because they are so important, for our learning. They're so important for us to become better people. And as Carl Gustav Jung said, don't dwell too much on your past, because you are not what happened to you, and you are actually what you can become. So focus on that, what you can become. And it's so beautiful what you great people, young people, will become. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you for taking your time to talk about this important topic, as you said. I think that we have the opportunity to create that culture of, hey, I'm not feeling okay. I want to share it and I need help. And I think that these are the first steps that we are taking. But yeah, definitely. I would love to thank everybody who came here today and joined us, who listened to our conversation, our dialogue about burnout and how to deal with it. So yeah, I hope to see you some other time. And Aljosha, thank you one more time. So,
Hvala
goodbye.
puno. Da, budite dobro svi, vidimo se. Ćao, čao.